Good evening and welcome. The October 17th, 2018 meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission is called to order. First on our agenda tonight is to vote the minutes of October 10th.
I've reviewed the minutes, and I'd make a motion to accept them as written.
And I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? So moved. Next, we have requests for determination of applicability. If anybody is here for that, just for your information, a negative determination is what the applicant would like to hear. It means that you do not have to go on to the next level of review. What you've submitted is adequate. First, Jay Finkel, 82 Ostrom Road, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to vista prune in accordance with FWR 1018-10B.
Madam Chair, the staff recommends a -2 determination under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed by the CRDA.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions? Anything from the public? Hearing nothing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Madam Chairman, Courtney moved it, who seconded? Thank you.
John Tolles, 265 Central Avenue, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to pump, remove, and dispose of existing septic system and upgrade to a Title V septic system.
Madam Chair, the staff recommends a -2 determination under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed by the CRDA.
So move. Second.
All right, any questions or comments? Anything from the public? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Okay, next we have requests for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. All right, first NOI, William Mackey, 9 and 15 Penzance Road, Woods Hole, Massachusetts, for permission to repair the existing licensed jetty. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening. My name is Michael McGrath.
Good luck with the new technology.
I'm a professional engineer and registered land surveyor, and my firm prepared the plan. The next question is, how do I rotate it?
Brendan.
Is that a PDF? No, it's not.
Yes.
Thank God we have Brendan.
Absolutely.
For many reasons, not
Yes.
just because he knows how to
Not just this.
work this.
The land is located at, just beyond the, I should have brought a pointer. That's the guardhouse at Penzance Pond. And it's the first two houses have frontage on Buzzards Bay, and there is a stone groin that has been in existence for many years. We permitted under Chapter 91 back in the 90s during the amnesty period. And the issue is that the stone groin has been damaged through the last couple of winters. So what they want to do is rebuild the stone groin. The biggest issue is how do we get to it? So what the plan shows is they're going to come in the crushed stone driveway that's here, and you can see there's a construction access that goes across the lawn. Then there's about a 3-foot-high stone wall that is at the beach. They're gonna build a sand ramp, then they're gonna go across the beach and reach across a little shallow inlet that's, it's not an inlet, but a little shallow flooded area that's flooded during high tides that lies between the existing beach and the stone groin. The stone groin is interesting in that there's if you look at the cross sections, there is a rectangular or square, basically structure that's on the south side, and then there's a slanted riprap on the other side. for many years, there was a captain's chair, or basically a stone, two stones that formed what was a chair that was out at the end. And one of the storms has knocked that off, so they're gonna replace that. When they put these, when they rebuild this wall, if you've been there, you can see that it's been damaged. There were staples, what they called. Dan Clark, who used to be a fixture in Woods Hole, was a marine contractor, and Dan came up with the idea of these staples, so that across the top, there are basically big staples that are like rebar that have been bent and driven into drill holes. And it actually provided for a long time some significant structural reinforcement. So the bottom line is they're gonna rebuild that groin in place. It's licensed, it's gonna be basically repaired to be the same as it's been. It has existed for many, many years. So I believe that the work description and the plans are sufficient for you to issue an order of conditions approving the work, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Does staff have anything they'd like to say right now?
No, Mike, it's just a pier repair, right? There's no beach nourishment, and you're not touching this small little wall over here, are you?
If we damage it, we'll have to fix it, but the intent is to fill the sand over it so we won't damage that wall. It's a beautiful wall. Well,
Okay,
I'm
and
talking
then-
about the lower wall now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking about the wall where, next to your construction access. And your sand ramp, are you gonna leave the, if I missed this, I apologize. Are you gonna leave the sand on
Yes.
site? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should.
yeah,
Right.
okay, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been laughing.
That's it.
Oh, sorry.
The only other thing, Mike, I have one more question. The steps seem to be being overtaken by the dune. Is there any, are you gonna be digging those steps out, or are you just gonna let the steps next to your construction access?
What we're talking about is this, I should have brought my pointer, but you yelled at me for having it.
We should get some laser.
Yeah.
They don't work,
The blazer
Laser
doesn't work.
no.
It just doesn't work. Those steps were built a long, long time ago, and the bottom line is that there's no plans on doing anything at the steps.
Okay. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Pretty sight.
Just in case it comes up again, you could try using the mouse, depending on what you want to show. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Mark?
The idea is to take that sand you put over the wall and spread it on the beach afterwards?
Yes, that's the intent.
You gonna do a sand assessment for grain size and that sort of thing? I mean, it's sort of like
You
nourishment,
could
right?
condition that, normally they would just bring sand from,
We sort of hope, yeah, just bring sand, but we'd like to have beach sand on the
you
beach.
could condition that.
Good, that's all.
I know that one of the Cape Cod aggregate sand pits has got sand that is compatible with almost all the beaches. So there
good.
is available sand. You're right, the mouse seems to, yeah, all right.
That's all.
Thanks, Mark. Peter?
What was the original license date about original construction of this?
Oh, this thing is very old, and the license, I believe, it was an amnesty license in the 90s. 95 was when all the amnesty stuff occurred.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thanks, Peter. Steve?
No questions.
Jamie?
No questions.
Betsy?
Mike, I have a couple. One is, given the energy of that site, I'd go for more coarse grain size rather than a mixture, because the fines go away right away. How long do you think this repair will take?
Less than 2 weeks.
Okay, and are you gonna aim for a time where there's more low water, or you don't think that'll matter?
I don't
That's-
really think it matters.
That's exposed, it's exposed at low water at all times? Where you're gonna,
The soundings that are shown on the drawing say that there's only inches of water at low water in between this solid line and that jetty is only inches of water at low water.
so you are gonna have to be in the water to do this
They
work?
can reach across, it's not that big a deal.
Well,
with a
my
crane.
question is kind of a yes or no. The machine does have to be in the water,
No, the machine can reach across.
but you said, isn't the machine gonna be where there's a couple inches of water?
What I was trying to describe is, see the hand up there, there's a black line?
Yep,
This is craziness.
Yes.
For someone that's coordinated like me. The bottom line is, what we talked about was the crane can work from this area and not be in the actual water. The workman may be in the water, but
oh, you don't even have to bring the equipment out that far?
the crane will be in between this end and where it says reset stones. That's where
Okay,
the crane will be.
okay, great. And the other question is, probably that equipment should be stored upland, you know, when you're not working,
Oh, I understand.
and with whatever kind of oil, regular oils. That's all.
Prevention.
Thanks.
Understood.
Yep.
Thank you. Kevin?
There's no plan to do any work in we have like a little small groin right next to where your access.
You mean this?
Bridge.
Yeah, that's what he's
Yeah,
talking about.
we weren't proposing to do anything there.
Well, I would just comment that that whole section looks very nice in the drawing as opposed to what it looks like in reality. But if they're not applying to fix it, great.
It's a different property, I think, isn't it?
No,
No,
No.
this
their property,
is on the property.
Okay.
property lines over here.
But the whole focus of what we've been doing is, this provides significant storm protection. And the other thing that's happened is Buzzards Bay's come up a foot in the last 4 or 5 years. So it's very important that they keep this well-maintained.
Right.
So that's why it's 9 and 15.
That much I got. But I'm just saying that this one doesn't have it.
Can I answer any questions?
No, that's all right. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks. Courtney?
Are you done? Oh, yeah. The sand fill over the existing wall, is that just clean beach sand, or
Yes,
have you got
that's
compact?
temporary.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I don't have an issue with it. I'm just concerned about its stability. You're just running track machines over that, is that the?
That's right, yes.
Okay, because, my gut would tell me that you put some kind of compacting fill in there and then take it out. And so that's what I wanted to make sure.
But in the past, we've used the same technique here.
No,
in the
and
past.
that's fine, it's more, I'm curious to know, about that, because you have to use track machines with that kind of,
That's right.
yeah, okay. No other questions. Looks like a well-thought-out project.
Thank you. Mike, this is a small matter, and I'm not sure I'm reading the Form 3 correctly. You know, when it's filled out online and then it turns into paper, some things don't align in a way that's handy for reading. But it seems to me, you've got on your Form 3 that you're using 35 yards of dune nourishment, and then the narrative says 10 to, what does it say? 15 to 20. And, it's a picky point. I'm just wondering if, what that is.
Linear feet of coastal bank.
Okay.
It's 35 linear feet of coastal
All right,
bank.
I'm reading the wrong entry. I thought it was meant to be 35 cubic yards of dune nourishment, but it's actually 35 linear feet. See, see, I thought, well,
Yeah,
they don't line up, so I thought that this went with the coastal greens.
no, I didn't see where in the narrative we identified how much the fill was.
I'm sorry, Mike, would you say that again?
I don't think we identified exactly how many cubic yards it would take to build the ramp.
Well, the only minor change in the beach will be the addition of approximately 15 to 20 cubic yards of sand from the construction of the temporary ramp.
Oh,
And
Presumably that's,
so presumably that's correct.
Yes.
Although,
Oh, I see that, at the last column, last paragraph, yes.
last paragraph, yes.
but he doesn't have a figure for here. It's cubic
Oh,
yards
that's
of each
right,
nourishment,
right.
but there's no figure
That's, you're right.
in this report.
Okay. All right, well, never mind about the discrepancy, because I was misreading that form. The layout of the form is, it's not you, it's, you know, how these online things are.
It's the government.
Yeah. Right.
We done?
Or their computer contractor, perhaps. But anyway,
Well, you know how I am with,
yes, I do.
We do, let's not go there either.
Okay, so, fine, we'll go with the narrative and
Make a motion.
stand corrected. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion and close this
Mary,
hearing
there was a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's all right. That's all
and
right.
take it under advisement.
Second.
All right, Mark, another question.
You've mentioned a couple times Buzzards Bay has gone up a foot in the last some years. Could you give me a reference to that, please?
there's I read an opinion from one of the scientific institutions, and there is a peer-reviewed paper. I'll have to send it to you, because I don't remember the guy's name, but I think it's EZER.
You can send it to me. That's great.
And the bottom line is that he documents that because of a change in temperature of the Gulf Stream, it's now stacking water against Rhode Island, Long Island, Cape Cod, and the bottom line is that his data stopped at northern New Jersey. And my testimony before was that I live in West Falmouth, and I drive, when you get down Old Dock Road, you turn north on Nashawina Street, you go around a curve, and there's a pier that I permitted in 1995, the amnesty license, and it was a foot above mean high water then. It's now awash at some of the higher tides. In fact, it's underwater, and if you look at the ramps, you know, we expect ramps to be going like this, the ramps going like that. So it's a combination of reading that peer-reviewed paper and then my own observation.
You could send me a reference?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll send it to the commission.
Of course. That's all.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any more questions or comments before we vote? Anything from the public? All right, all those in favor of closing the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you. And next, we have Scott and Colleen Filosi, 122 Bywater Court, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to enclose the open pile foundation in accordance with
How do
state building code for structures in the AE zone, flood zone.
Teach him how to
Mike,
fish.
Mike, I'm just gonna let
Yes,
you know
right.
that your staff is watching you right now.
Teach a man to fish, by the way.
Teach him how to fish.
What?
How's that?
You know, it's got to get a
Or to retire.
Show you later.
Oh, you, okay. All right.
No, it doesn't look like.
Now zoom it out a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Get those cards. Oh, I'm sorry. still filling this out.
This
Do you have the cards?
hardly needs a map.
Thank you. Here's my,
Principal discussion, I think we have.
there's such little paperwork tonight, it's hard to find.
Exactly.
Do I get one, Mike?
Is there only one?
record?
Is there only one of these?
I need it for the record. I'll take Kevin's.
Here, you can
Thank
have
you.
this, I have another one.
Somebody want this?
I have to write it into the record.
But that's why I give a copy to Jennifer for the record.
Well, Betsy's keeping the records during the meetings.
All right, my name is Michael McGrath.
Hi, Mike.
I'm a registered engineer and professional land surveyor. My firm filed this notice of intent. The bottom line is that there are no wetland resources here except land of, land subject to coastal storm flowage. This is one of the few sites in Falmouth that used to be in a velocity zone, and now it's in an A zone. When it was constructed, there was a requirement that there be no, that
Enclosure.
in between the pilings, there could be no closure, there can't be any walls or anything. So now, since they're in an A zone, we asked that, to get that condition released, and Jen said we had to file a new notice for that because there's no other way of doing it. So the point of this filing was we want the ability to basically enclose the space underneath the structure. So there would be, and that's allowed under the building code in an A zone. So I'm here to answer any questions. This should be very, very simple.
Thanks, Mike.
The only thing, sorry, Mary, the clarification, Mike, what was I just gonna say? The reason you had to file is because there was already a certificate of compliance on the property.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, the only thing, I have no concerns with them enclosing the space now. The only thing I have, Mike, is when the certificate of compliance was issued, there were a number of trees that were required when they removed a large amount of invasive vegetation on the site. I don't see the trees, marked on your plan.
Well, to be blunt, I didn't look at I looked at the site, but I wasn't paying attention to trees. I was more looking at the construction. So, it'd be a
don't
suitable
think they're all
condition
there?
that they'll, I don't know,
Yeah.
because this is the first I heard of that issue.
Yeah, I think a number of them, if not all, might be missing, so we might have to address that. During the compliance period, I have the old plan, they had proposed 2, 4, 6, 8, and that was because of the large amount of vegetation that was removed to put in that driveway. So,
But at the same time, there's now no performance standards in an A zone for, because we're not in a resource area buffer A or B. So if you release allow them to enclose the pilings, shouldn't you also allow them not to have the required plants that were there?
you can ask them. I'm just saying that at compliance time, that's what was, okay? That's it. That's the only comment I have.
Well, that's an interesting wrinkle. Courtney?
I'm, in a way, you guys can do whatever you want, I guess, if we feel that it's appropriate. My observation is that, given the reality of climate change, sea level rise, that if I were the owner, I would not do this because down the road, there are gonna be issues. And all I can do is cite the example of that house that survived the hurricane down in the Panhandle. I don't know whether any of you saw it, but the guy who built the house built it according to 250-year, or 200, to withstand 250-mile-an-hour winds, even though the local building codes and other regulations did not require him to do that. And interestingly enough, it's the only house still standing. So that's my observation about this.
Point taken. Kevin?
Well, I think we're gonna have to have a discussion about this-
Trees.
the trees, but as far as enclosing, technically now, they can do that. But as Courtney just pointed out, there's such a thing as being right on the line of being allowed to do something that may or may not be in everybody's best long-term interests. That's all.
We're supposed to be a nation of codes and laws, and if we meet the code, we should be allowed to go forward. We shouldn't be told that, you
Not being-
think that the
Not-
code is
You're not
wrong.
being told, you're just being advised.
I understand.
Okay,
All set?
thank you.
Thank you. Betsy?
Mike, is this gonna have flood vents?
It has to have
Whatever
flood
you put in
vents
through.
under the code.
So,
It has to have flood vents under the code.
okay,
All set?
that's my only question.
Jamie?
And
Oh,
also,
sorry.
I'd like to, whatever Jen just showed us for the compliance,
Mhm.
I'd like that to be put in this record.
Okay. Thank you. Jamie?
Nothing to add.
Steve?
No more questions?
Peter?
No more questions.
Mark?
Let me understand, so you're not building breakaway walls, you're gonna actually wall this baby in?
Yes, with vents.
With vents,
like
of course.
The required vents, yes.
Okay. That's what the law says.
That's
I
right.
agree.
I thought I was told never to say breakaway vents, breakaway walls in Falmouth.
House. Yeah. Right, well,
So I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
any other comments or questions? Anything from the public? All those in favor of closing the hearing, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Well, at least, that would have been no fun if they were like, 3 feet over the film-free zone line.
Yeah.
Yes, for small things indeed.
What do I do to shut it off?
Okay. Next we have James and Mary Mangravidi, 101 Madeline Road, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to reconstruct the fixed portion of the timber pier, ramp, and float. Welcome, Jeff. Oh,
Okay, thanks.
yep. So you said you would ask for that.
Oh, yeah. I think it's over.
Okay. Good evening, I'm Jeff Ryther with BSS Design, representing James Mangravidi this evening. This property is at 101 Madeline Road, East Falmouth. And currently, there's a pier ramp and float. It's a light-duty structure and is in need of repair. I don't know if anybody went down there, you'd see there's a little kind of arc in it. It's not doing too well. We propose to reconstruct only the pier portion of the pier ramp and float, and the ramp and float will remain the same except for we want to replace the creosote pilings with vinyl-coated pilings. Okay, so in this area here, is the hand showing up here? Yeah. This is the existing profile of the dock. You'll see that the ramp and float look pretty much identical, except for piling. It has 4 pairs of piles. We want to do the same design, except for beef it up, and we're using this pier section AA. You can see the hand on the page. Right here on the existing dock, you'll see this low point. This was their lateral access, which is pretty much in the marsh. So we propose to do away with that whole section of pier, and you'll see that that same pier is in the background of this dock, and we're looking to put 5-foot clearance between the marsh base and the bottom of the stringers. So that'll meet code for dock construction anyway, by having that clearance. What else can I say here? Again, this is the section. It has 4 stringers going from bend to bent, and the reason for the 4 of them is we want to use the 4-foot-long through flow polypropylene dock rating. And that's called out right here on the section. So that'll, and we're doing that over the first 3 sections. That's 39 feet, or 40 feet, let's say. And the last 2 will be sort of standard construction using 5/4 by 6 boards. I guess with that, I'll take your questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Anything from the staff?
Brandon?
I think we're just figured out we're good.
Yep, we're all
You're
set.
good. All right, Jamie?
I don't think I have anything.
All right, Steve?
I don't have any questions.
Peter?
What's the ratio of height and width of the dock to the marsh below? Is it
Well, it's
greater than?
It's 1-to-1 on this dock. But it's more than 1-to-1. It's 5 feet clearance right here where this hand is on the. So that's more than. That's more like 1.5 to 1 through that section. But up in here, where you start getting up to the coastal bank and up that slope, that's a lesser figure there.
And the existing dock is 4 feet wide?
It varies, but for the most part, yes.
And the new dock is 5 feet wide?
No, 4 feet.
Okay. Okay,
Using the 4-foot through flow, called out right here on the hand.
Peter, the Chapter 91 license says the ramp and pier are 3 feet wide, but that's what the Chapter 91 license says. But 4 feet wide is standard.
Okay.
for a dock. 3 feet is too narrow.
Okay, no further questions?
All right, Mark?
Does the existing license include that great big float?
Yes. The only thing the existing license did not include is the landward section of it. So that's what Brendan and I got the Chapter 91 license today, and we were looking at it. Technically, the license, the overall length of the pier, ramp, and another little section that right now is in the marsh is 50 feet. What Jeff is proposing is 63 feet, but that's because of the landward step section, right? Is it the steps? Yeah. It's the landward section of the dock.
Eliminating the steps.
Yeah, yeah. So the staff is comfortable with that, and it's something the board has permitted before. If the overall length is a little bit longer, as long as it's on the landward side, that's fine.
So the permit actually says 160 square feet. That's a huge float.
It says an 8 by 60, 8 by 20.
Okay.
What's
Well,
the date
thank
on
you.
that?
It was an interim approval in 93.
Isn't it?
Oh, 95. Plans dated 93, interim approval was 95.
Yeah, it's a big dock, and it's,
The license is still valid
Float
for
isn't
7 more years.
either, but-
And we're gonna approve, apply for a new 30-year.
Same
say
property
that
owner.
again? I didn't hear you.
We're gonna apply for a new license. This is gonna run out in 7 years, but this
You're
is
gonna
the-
need a new
this is the
license
appropriate
anyway.
time to do it. so.
Yep.
Okay. Courtney?
I have no questions, but I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
We
Take it
haven't
We haven't
gotten to
finished
have
everybody.
questions.
We haven't gone through
Would you let
everybody
us
yet.
have questions first?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, I thought I was at the end of the line.
Nope, no, I did a change up here.
Yeah.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Yes, right.
And I have no questions.
All right, thanks,
Sounds
Courtney.
like a baseball term, a little change-up,
Thank you.
yeah.
And it worked. There was a strike from it.
Yeah. Kevin?
No questions.
Betsy?
Oh, I think it's an improvement.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
Yeah.
setting, and it
Certainly,
is what it is. I mean,
certainly to the homeowner.
it's, thanks.
All right.
Pardon me now.
And I have no
Motion
questions.
now to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of closing the hearing, say aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous? So moved. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Jeff.
Yeah,
Remember to take your little
USB.
gizmo.
yeah. But I wanna close
Here,
it out
Betsy,
properly.
put that in the file. We already put a copy in the file?
Jeff gave me one.
Oh, okay.
There you
You
go.
want it back? Jeff, there's
Yeah,
one in
we
the
want it
file.
back.
Yeah.
How
All
about
right.
that?
You all set, Jeff?
All set.
Bon nuit.
Okay.
Good evening.
Mike, another one?
3 feet wide. Overall length.
We're not quite up to that yet, but any minute now.
Yeah.
I'd say 2 to 3 minutes from now.
Let me know, I'll be right over
Tops.
here.
Continued request for certificate of compliance. Oh, Jen's preoccupied.
Oh,
I didn't read it yet, I was just
Okay.
waiting. See, Brendan Zaltis et al., lots 4 to 11, Podlet Place and Pierce Place.
yes, Madam Chairman, we're gonna continue that one more week. We sent the, extension out last week, and we will send Mark Manganello an email. I already have it on my thing for Amy to do tomorrow, is to send the consultant an email asking for the letter to request to withdraw. His statement is the
Did they not
hearing.
receive their certificate?
I
or-
don't know yet. We're gonna double check. We sent it off to the consultant last week.
Okay,
Okay?
this will get withdrawn.
yes.
That was
we
what
just-
their statement was at the hearing, was that as soon as they received the extension for 5 years, that they would request to withdraw.
So I make a motion to extend this, to continue this till next week.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. All right. Continued request to extend the existing order of conditions. Anastasios Parafestis, trustee, 152 and 160 Penzance Road, DEP number 25-4116, request for 1-year extension.
You gotta unplug your mic.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Jeff,
on our
don't
recommendation?
Well, let's wait till we're all paying
I,
attention.
okay.
Recommendation before we hear of them.
Mhm.
Presentation that we don't need to listen to.
Right. Yes, I mean, I think that's a good idea, but let's just wait till,
Where is it, this one?
you know,
Yes.
everybody's focused here.
Just the one.
What's this about?
This
Oh, yeah, never
is-
mind, never mind. I know what it's about. Make a motion to,
Mike,
Gonna turn out color.
we've had a suggestion that the staff, maybe rather than,
I'll wait.
okay, thanks, we may be able to
Is that-
forego a long
Yeah,
presentation.
that really doesn't show. Do you have a copy of Mr. Manganello's plan, Mike?
Yeah, not
Not electronically? Okay.
electronic.
So, so the staff has reviewed the wetland restoration plan. We have met with Mr. Manganello. At this point, there's gonna be a revised plan removing the Virginia Rose in the wetland area.
Revised beyond what you've already,
Yeah, revised
done.
from what
Okay.
we had. We have had an update, we received yesterday an updated wetland restoration plan methodology. The staff is recommending, after consulting with council, a 1-year extension with the conditions pursuant to the original conditions of the order, with the wetland methodology revised, dated by LEC, dated October 16th of 2018, with the wetland restoration beginning no later than the week of October 29th, and they are poised to start work with a completion date of no later than November 30th. That said, the board, what was that, Jamie?
November 3rd?
November 30th. That said, the board does need to be aware that there has been work done on 152 Penzance, and the staff will be recommending a cease and desist on all work at 152 Penzance, and we are advertising for an enforcement order for alteration to wetland resources and wetland buffer for October 31st. There was work, there was removal of vegetation, and there does appear to be, from the aerials, possible wetland restoration for the small wetland that is near the driveway for 152. At this point, the staff, Courtney, is recommending that we keep the extension of the order of conditions request and the enforcement order separate.
Okay, so I'll move what, and I'm sure Susan got down, what you were recommending as a motion. I'll move that as a motion,
Thank you.
which is that we allow this restoration. We'll have an extension with all the applicable
Conditions that were voted on back in 2015.
Right.
In addition, we're going to be citing the wetland and buffer restoration narrative dated October 16th by LEC.
Right.
Work must begin by the week of October 29th, on a completion date no later than November 30th.
Right, and that's my motion.
Second.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
before we go any further, I'd like advice of counsel.
I have spoken with council. I
Okay.
spoke with her.
No. but, you know,
4 times
Whatever
today.
you want to do. You know, like he's going to listen to us.
Oh,
Look,
it was Pat, but anyway.
This is more an issue of, Peter and I weren't around in 2015.
Mhm.
Should we be voting on these
It's an
issues?
extension request.
Yeah,
absolutely
this
can
happens
vote.
all the time.
It happens all
Okay.
the time
Yeah,
when things happen.
absolutely.
Great.
Where
Oh, I'm
we, you know,
sorry, Peter.
amended NOIs,
Yeah.
extensions, that kind of thing
Okay.
happens all the time, but thanks for
Okay,
bringing
I
it up.
misunderstood you, Kevin, I'm sorry.
No, no.
But if anybody's wondering, I have spoken with your council regarding our recommendation on both counts, and
That's what
She
the
agrees with us.
recommendation was. Does anyone on the board have anything else they'd like to say about this or ask about it?
Do we have a second?
I did.
Second.
Yes, Steve seconded. Is this all fine with you, or do you need to say something, Mike?
No,
Okay, great.
just fine.
All right, all those in favor of the
One-year extension was the-
motion recommended by Jen, the one-year extension, the revisions according to the LEC plan, and the required start and end of,
no,
of these actions, beginning week of October 29th, to be completed by November 30th, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you, unanimous.
thank you.
So moved.
We'll take up the cease and desist under
And that'll be
other business.
tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, oh, yeah, so I have a question about that.
Yep.
So, as I remember, this original order of conditions was gonna wrap in the restoration work, plus there was work on that other one?
Yep, we can talk about it under
Yeah,
other
we
business.
should be doing our voting,
Okay.
I think, first. And,
I'll
so,
get the quorum.
thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Road orders and conditions. Town of Falmouth, care of Jim McLaughlin, T-Ticket Path, East Falmouth.
I have to
So, this
recuse
is-
myself.
All right, thank you, Peter.
Don't go too far, Peter,
Don't go
because you're
too-
on the next one.
Stay within earshot. So,
My only condition was to take out fertilizer for the seeding.
that's right. Does anybody else,
They use an iron-based fertilizer as opposed to...
No, they shouldn't use
they
any.
shouldn't have used it at all.
It's wetlands.
Right. Pretty rich.
I just want to check something and see if there was an operation and maintenance plan. I don't remember.
There
seeing-
is,
There is
there
an
is a
operation.
plan.
Yeah,
and
then
maintenance
we
plan.
should cite that in, yep. We should reference the operation and maintenance plan.
Yep.
Staff didn't really have anything else.
Right, it was pretty straightforward.
I make a motion to accept as discussed.
Second.
All right, anything else from anybody? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, unanimous, so moved. And then we have, where did my agenda go?
Here.
I have it, thanks. James and Paul DeVellis, 22 Dusty Miller Road, Falmouth, Massachusetts. Could we read the quorum on this, please?
Steve, Peter, Jamie, Mary, Betsy, Kevin, Courtney, and Mark.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. There you have it.
So this was the pop-top one.
Yeah.
Yes, and then they revised the plan to add the pool, so they were they renovating, they were renovating the house.
To move the
Move
pool,
the
so
pool.
it was
Yeah.
out of the A zone.
Yeah.
The deck as is.
And there was testimony that, there's testimony that there might be some
Erosion under the
erosion.
deck.
And so
Under the deck.
I would say, that should be, if there is any erosion, a plan to address it.
Stabilization plan.
Yeah, should go to approved by by you guys.
But that
Yeah.
piece was taken out of it, so is that relevant?
No, it's still
It's
there, that deck is
No,
still
what I
there.
mean is,
The work.
they were gonna change that, they're not now.
Yeah, but her indication was that there was erosion,
underneath.
existing erosion. There was erosion from it being there.
But the deck is pre-existing.
It's pre-existing. So if there is any erosion, it should be addressed. Should be stabilized. But, I mean, it just goes into this is all a wooded environment. It can't, nothing can go that far,
Yeah, some jute matting and maybe,
if there is.
if there is. Just have them go reevaluate the erosion near the deck, and if there's, slight, if it's not very stabilized, we'll just have them submit a small stabilization plan to the staff, and then we'll add it, and they can implement it.
Plant some
We'll just
ground cover.
sign off on it, yeah, it's not a big deal.
That was all, I mean,
Does anybody else have anything for this plan?
move that we accept as discussed.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Okay, Madam Chairman, we have,
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter.
No,
It
no,
either
it's
is
not
or
our
isn't,
problem,
but
I
I'm
just
like,
said.
why even do that? I mean,
All right, so now we are going to
there's two matters of, under other
discuss the
business.
cease and desist order for,
I'm gonna start
people
with
know
some,
what's going on.
can I do the smaller one first?
here's something else.
Yes, you may. Oh,
Um,
there's another item.
Yes, there's
Oh.
another item.
What's that?
It came in late yesterday. The turkey race at BB Woods.
Oh, yes, of course.
I vote to allow it to go on.
Second.
So,
All
well,
right.
does Kevin and Peter know about the turkey race? So every year, I don't know if, I can't remember, Falmouth
Maybe
Academy,
they'd like to participate this year.
Falmouth Academy hosts, the Thanksgiving Day race in Falmouth. They are required to come to the board because you have care and control over BB Woods. They clean up after themselves, they clean up after the race. It's a great trail race,
No
and the
turkeys left
board.
afterwards, right? They clear out the
Yeah,
turkeys from
cle-
BB Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And
come
this
to my
board
house.
has favorably, allowed this race in, for the 13 years that I've been involved, so,
I move that we allow it.
thank you.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Well, having turkeys show up on Thanksgiving can't be all bad.
there, do I take a stand?
Okay, Madam Chairman, in the case of 152 Penzance Road, the staff is going to send a cease and desist to the different trusts that are involved with this property. We'll send that out certified mail tomorrow. We are also sending out an enforcement hearing letter tomorrow for them to appear before this board on October 31st. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, yes.
So if you would just vote a cease and desist, that would be great, and
Mike's
then we'll,
already on board with all,
Mike,
sorry, didn't mean to talk like you weren't here.
do you have
Mike
any
is already aware.
commentary or
Oh,
anything you want to tell us about this?
Which Wednesday?
I move that we issue this cease and desist and the enforcement order, and we'll see people on
Enforcement-
October 31st.
yeah, enforcement hearing. We'll be on
Enforcement hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a second?
Courtney just seconded.
Courtney, thanks. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Adjourned.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. We're adjourned.
Well, last